Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back if it's not your first time here to the Library of Phoebe. I'm Phoebe and another month has passed. We're so close to the end of 2025. I can't believe November is upon us already. The dark months are coming. But I'm hoping we can lighten them up with some super good reads, or maybe just play into the darkness with some super atmospheric, moody reads. I don't know. We'll have to have some variety, I think, this month, because that's what I'm in the mood for. Second last month of the year. That is insane. It feels like this year just started like yesterday. I don't know where the time went. But without further ado, let's start picking our November TBR. So I'm gonna start, as usual, with 3 prompts from the jar. I actually have to reorganize some stuff first, so I'll be right back and then we'll do the 3 prompts from the jar. Okay, we've done it. The cart looks how I want it to look now, so time to shake the jar up. Let's hope we get some good ones this month. Let's start. Oh, if I can get my hand out. I do have one. Oh, there's 2 here. Which one should I go for? Go for this one. That one was more in my grasp. So, okay. We're going for the longest book on my TBR. So we're gonna go for the longest book that's on this cart. I'm gonna use Storygraph to help me. I don't care if it's cheating, guys, but I'm not going for the longest book on my entire TBR. That would be insane. Plus it doesn't go with the mood, and what I really need is the mood. So I curated this cart specifically for this season, so I think it's fair if I just pick the longest from here. So I'm going to Storygraph and I'm sorting my TBR pile by longest, and lo and behold, look at what we got. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this book. I wasn't specifically planning on reading it this month, but it is, how many pages? 814 pages. So it is a chunky brick. I thrifted this. That's why I picked it up at all, is because I found it thrifting and I was like, you know what? $5. I want to like see if I'm into it or not. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not because I have heard a lot of critical reviews, but here, I'll read what it's about. A Little Life follows 4 college classmates, broke, adrift, and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition, as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, deepen over the decades, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant, enigmatic Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma. A hymn to brotherly bonds and masterful depiction of love in the 21st century, Hanya Yanagihara's stunning novel is about the families we are born into and those that we make for ourselves. I just reread The Secret History in its entirety, so maybe this is, like, I've heard this compared to The Secret History in some ways, so maybe this is the time for me to pick it up when I'm just primed with my adoration for that book. So I guess we're trying it in November. November is already such a depressing month, and now we're doing the most depressing read. I guess we're going into the atmosphere of what this season's all about. All right, let's hope the second prompt's a little nicer. Trying to pick one right from the bottom. I had one and I lost it. Oh, let's go with this one. Super folded up at the bottom. Just spilled a few. Ooh. Okay. So we have the prompt, continue/start a series. So I don't think there's many series on here. Let me just check. Yeah, so I think my best option for this, really like one of the only options for continuing, and since I kind of want to continue a series, not start one, we're gonna go with it. I'm already like a little chunk of the way through. It is The Two Towers by j.r.r. Tolkien. This, I don't think, needs an introduction. It's the second book in the Lord of the Rings series. Honestly, to be completely honest with you, I read The Fellowship of the Ring earlier in the summer. I read it during probably one of the lowest moments for me for the summer, right at the beginning of June. It was kind of just, I had it on as background noise as an audiobook. So I think I'm gonna just need to reread the series at some point. I think I'm gonna try to push through this book, and if I'm completely lost, I'm going to give up and restart from Fellowship, just so I can really appreciate and understand Tolkien. But that being said, I am only a little bit of the way through this first one, and I think I'm just gonna push through, see if I'm vibing with it, see if I can like feel it out, understand it, and hopefully I can. Hopefully I absorbed more than I think I remember in my like conscious memory. Hopefully my unconscious memory holds a lot of memories of the Fellowship. But I'm not opposed to just restarting the series if I'm like so lost when I'm reading this. We'll see. All right, time for our third and final prompt from the jar. I want to get like one of the new prompts I've written, because I've written a few. I feel like I'm not getting them ever. So let's go with this one. I don't know if this is a new one. I don't think it is. No, it isn't. It's a medium pace read. This we do need the help of Storygraph for, so I'm gonna go into my Storygraph TBR and look at what is medium pace. I have a good amount of options. Naked Lunch by William Burroughs is an option. Let Me Tell You What I Mean by Joan Didion is an option. Gifted and Talented by Olivie Blake is an option. And so is White Noise by Dawn DeLillo. But I think I know what I want to go for my book club book. The book that my book club is reading for November is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the 1818 text. If you watched my last TBR for October, I was torn over whether to put this on the October TBR or the November one. I'm glad I put it on I'm putting it on the November one, since this is what my book club's reading. And the new Frankenstein movie is coming out. Thank you for the people who have been commenting, telling me about that. So I think we're gonna do a screening of it actually at my book club once we talk about this book. So it's Frankenstein. Does it need an introduction? It is about Dr. Frankenstein who tries to create life and creates something that ends up really ruining his life in a lot of ways. Mary Shelley is just amazing. I've also talked about this before, but the book I'm writing is inspired by Frankenstein in some ways. So I'm so interested and excited to finally read the 1818 version. I have read the other version. I think it's 1831 if I'm not mistaken, but the 1818 needs to be done. I've read the letters. I'm up to actually chapter 1, because if you don't know, Frankenstein starts with some letters before we really dive into the narrative, some back and forth before we dive into the storytelling. It's like a story within a story within a story. Like someone's telling this, someone's telling that, to this person, to this person. It's like a game of telephone. That's how Frankenstein ends up being told to us. I am through the letters and on to chapter 1, which is page 23. But I think I might just start it again from scratch. So this one will be a good one for November. All right, and now it is time to do my random number generated pick, which includes getting a list of all the books from previous TBRs that I have not read and asking Siri to pick a number between all of those numbers. This month it is 24. Pick a number between 1 and 24.
That would be 13.
So 13. 13 means we get a book that was on last month's TBR that I did not get to on October's, and it's been on now 3 different TBRs and I haven't got to it. So maybe 4th time's the charm. That is the Satyricon and the Apocolocyntosis by Petronius and Seneca. So I'll just read again what it's about. I'm sure if you've seen some of my older TBRs, you know what this is about already, but the Satyricon is perhaps the strangest and most strikingly modern work to survive from the ancient world. In it, Petronius brings to life for us the courtesans and legacy hunters, the pompous professors and dissolute priestesses, and above all, Trimalchio, the archetypal self-made millionaire whose pretentious vulgarity on an insane grand scale makes him one of the best comic characters in literature. Included also in this volume is the Apocolocyntosis, a little malicious skit on the deification of Claudius the Claude, designed by Seneca to ingratiate himself with Claudius's successor, Nero. November will finally be the time I read this. I promise you that. I promise you. So we're at 4 books on the TBR. And you know what? I'm like, I have 2 free picks to give myself some mood reading options. But you know what I'm actually really in the mood to do? I'm in the mood to do some more prompts from the prompt jar. So what we're gonna do is 2 more prompt jar picks, I think. Since we already got my book club book on this one, we might as well, right? So let's go with this prompt as our 4th prompt, because whatever, November, we need some specialties in our month. So what is this? The most recently published book on my TBR. Okay, I think I know what that one's gonna be, but let me check using Storygraph. Oh, as always, Storygraph always coming in clutch. And it is indeed what I thought it was going to be, and that is Gifted and Talented by Olivie Blake. This was published, when? Sometime in 2025, sometime earlier this year. I'm not sure exactly when, but I think it was like in the summer this year, maybe early summer. So this is Gifted and Talented. If you watched my most recent video about 10 books I want to read before the end of the year, actually a few of these are on there, including this one. So this is one I honestly probably would have even picked for myself. So that's exciting. We're going to be reading Gifted and Talented. So this is what it's about. Thayer Wren, a brilliant CEO of Renfair Magitech and so-called father of modern technology, is dead. Any one of his 3 telepathically and electrokinetically gifted children would be a plausible inheritor to the Renfair throne, or at least they'd like to think. Meredith, a textbook accomplished eldest daughter and the head of her own groundbreaking biotech company, has recently cured mental illness. You're welcome. If only her father's fortune weren't her last hope for keeping her journalist ex-boyfriend from exposing what she really is, a total fraud. Arthur, the 2nd youngest congressman in history, fights the good fight every day of his life, and yet his wife might be leaving him, and he's losing his re-election campaign. But his dead father's approval in the form of a seat on the Renfair throne might just turn his sinking ship around. Ailey, I think that's how you pronounce this last name, Ailey, I looked it up last time. Ailey, once the world's most famous ballerina, has spent the last 5 years as a run-of-the-mill marketing executive at her father's company after a life-altering injury put an end to her prodigious career. She might be lacking in accolades compared to her siblings, but if her father left her for everything, it would finally validate her worth by confirming she'd been his favorite all along. On the pipeline from gifted kid to clinically depressed, nobody wins. But which Wren will come out on top? Excited to read this. I like Olivie Blake. I've really only read the Atlas 6 series from her, but I like that enough. I know a lot of people don't really like how it ends, but I liked it all the way to the end, so I'm interested in giving this a read, and I guess we'll do it in November. Another kind of chunky book for the TBR along with A Little Life. This is like 500-ish pages. Let's do one more. You know what? For the sake of it, YOLO, might as well. I hope we get one of the newer prompts this time. Let's see. It's not easy grabbing one out of here. You'd think it'd be easier than it is. Okay, let's go with this one actually. I think this one might be one of the newer ones. So I'm excited. Average rating over 4 stars. Okay, this is a bit more tough on Storygraph because on Goodreads you can just sort by highest average rating, but on Storygraph you can't. So I guess I'm just going to have to pick one and then see what its average rating is. So first of all, we know Everything is Tuberculosis is for sure over 4 stars. Oh, surprisingly, J.r.r. I feel like it's really hard to get a classic over 4 stars on average rating, but J.r.r. is. Alright, to be honest, I'm really not seeing much else that's average rating over 4 stars. So I think we're gonna go with that. I didn't check all of this, but these are our 2 options. We're gonna pick one of these, J.r.r. or Everything is Tuberculosis, both of which are on my 10 before the end. So it's great that a bunch of them are getting on this TBR. So I don't have a nonfiction on here yet. So I think simple as that. We're gonna go with Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. This is what it says it's about. Tuberculosis has been entwined with humanity for millennia. Once romanticized as a malady of poets, today tuberculosis is seen as a disease of poverty that walks the trails of injustice and inequity we blazed for it. In 2019, author John Green met Henry Ryder, a young tuberculosis patient at Lucca Government Hospital in Sierra Leone. John became fast friends with Henry, a boy with spindly legs and a big, goofy smile. In the years since that first visit to Lucca, Green has become a vocal advocate for increased access to treatment and wider awareness of the healthcare inequities that allow this curable, preventable, infectious disease to also be the deadliest, killing over 1 million people every year. In Everything is Tuberculosis, John tells Henry's story, woven through with the scientific and social histories of how tuberculosis has shaped our world and how our choices will shape the future of tuberculosis. This is actually a signed copy. I'm so excited about that. And I really love John Green's nonfiction writing. So really want to dive into this, expand my mind, learn more. It's going to be really something I think I can become passionate about. So for that reason, I'm looking forward to reading this. And there we are at the end of this TBR. A heavy one. Yeah, a lot of long books on here, which I'm approaching my final month of the school year, so I don't really know how that's gonna work. But first, we have A Little Life, which was for the longest book on my TBR. And then we have The Two Towers by j.r.r. Tolkien, which is for a continuous series. Then we have a medium pace book, which is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And then we have my random number generated one, which is the Satyricon. Then we had my most recently published book on my TBR, which was Gifted and Talented. And then a book with an average rating over 4 stars, which brings us to John Green. All right, and that is everything for this video. Please leave a like, leave a comment if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you think of them, and subscribe for more videos. I'm really trying to become more consistent with posting pretty much every week, so you're not going to want to miss out on that. Definitely subscribe. I do TBRs every month and a lot more fun stuff in between. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time on the Library of Phoebe.